we create a collision domain by putting in a layer 2 device to segment the network. So what does that mean? What's a layer 2 device? Well, remember we talked about the OSI model and we said that we could look at the layers from the top down or from the bottom up. Well, if we look at the layers from the bottom up, that's how we number those layers. So as you'll remember, the bottom layer was the physical layer. The layer right above that, which would be layer 2, is the data link layer. You should always know that if somebody says layer 2, they're talking about the data link layer. So we take a device such as a bridge or a switch, because most switches work at layer 2. You'll hear some people say layer 3 switch. That's really more like a router than it is like a switch. So we take a device like a bridge or a switch, we put it into the network so that we're dividing those 1,000 computers into segments. The way that's divided is by using the physical address, and we'll talk more about that. But at data link layer, remember, that's all we have is a physical address. We don't have a logical address at all. So we use the physical address to divide those networks, and we create network segments. We reduce the traffic on each segment because we create more segments. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it would be to create a broadcast domain. Now what a broadcast domain really is it's like taking that network, that one network that has 1,000 computers in it right now, and logically separating that network into little networks called subnets. When we logically separate that network, we're not just segmenting traffic, we're actually breaking the network into smaller networks. Then we could even segment traffic within each of those smaller networks. But we don't create broadcast domains with layer 2 devices because remember, logical addressing doesn't happen at layer 2. It doesn't happen at the data link layer. Let's go up one more layer to layer 3, which as you'll remember is the network layer. And at the network layer, we can create logical addresses. We can follow logical addresses. That means at the network layer, we can create the subnets. So we put in what's called a layer 3 device. Now a layer 3 device is a router. Some people call them layer 3 switches, but really they're routing. When we put in a layer 3 device, we will then control traffic into its smaller subnets. As I said, we can then take each one of those subnets and divide the traffic within them. We can segment the traffic within our smaller subnets. So we can begin to use a layer 3 device to set up not just broadcast domains, but also collision domains. And the layer 3 device will use logical IP addressing, not just physical IP addressing. So those are the two ways that we can separate network traffic. It's important that we understand the differences between collision domains and broadcast domains. And it's very important that we understand how all of this is created, what the different devices do. So in our next chapter, we'll discuss hubs, bridges, and switches, and how they're all used in network design. That's next.